Let's listen to this video.
We are in the first phase where 33 of our hostages, most of them alive, held by Hamas terrorists for 471 days, will be returned to Israel. 3 female hostages are expected to return to Israel today. Israel will confirm this to be true when they are back in Israel and their identities can be confirmed. Last night, the Prime Minister held a security assessment. The list of the hostages was not received at the agreed time. As such, the ceasefire, which was to take effect at 8:30 a.m. this morning, did not take place until 11:15 a.m. once the Hamas terror organization passed on the names to the mediators. We request all media not to circulate the details of the list and to act with due caution to safeguard the privacy of the families. We will update you with reliable information as soon as relevant. I can also confirm that Israel's armed forces have rescued from Gaza the body of fallen IDF soldier Staff Sergeant Oron Shaul. Hamas held his body since 2014. His family have, of course, been notified. The number of Israeli hostages in Gaza now stands at 97. As to next steps, in addition to the majority in the government, a majority in Israel, together with all of the branches of Israel's security forces, the IDF, the ISA and Mossad, all of which have supported this agreement, the Prime Minister last night made clear that President Trump welcomed the agreement and rightly emphasized that this is the first stage of the agreement and this is a temporary ceasefire. That is what President Trump said, a temporary ceasefire.
Okay, temporary ceasefire. Then why did you not post about this? I mean, Donald Trump, when he posted on his social truth, he did not mention that it was a temporary ceasefire. So this is a lie. This is something that the Israeli government came up with, that somehow this is a temporary ceasefire. The reason for that is because they do not want to be seen as the sore losers. They do not want that to happen. The moment they say this is a permanent ceasefire, then it means they have accepted defeat and they are not willing to go back to Gaza. But see how they are framing this narrative. This is a temporary ceasefire. We will strike Gaza again in the near future once we have the hostages back. Guess what? Yes, they will strike Gaza. Yes, they will kill innocent people because that's how they quench their thirst and feed their stomach, hungry stomach. They're a bunch of wolves. But that will be done only through aerial bombardment, not foot on the ground. No Israeli soldier will be going back to Gaza. They are exhausted, they're tired, they're running out of ammunition, and they're not willing to serve in the military, a lot of them. So guys, temporary, yes, in that sense, it's a temporary ceasefire because these wolves, these monsters, they're planning their next genocide as we talk about ceasefire.
Ahead of the next stages of the agreement, Israel retains significant assets in order to return all of our hostages and in order to meet the objectives of this war. Both President Trump and President Biden have given full backing to Israel's right to return to the fighting if Israel reaches the conclusion that the second stage of negotiations are ineffectual.
Since when Biden, his word matters? Since when? Well, it is now clear to me, after listening to what he just said, that Donald Trump was behind all of this. Some of you may like him, may hate him, doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, it was Donald Trump, because what David Mencer, this guy, is saying is that Donald Trump, he mentioned Donald Trump twice already, and he mentioned Biden's name just once. And that is because Donald Trump has a lot more influence over this deal, this ceasefire, than Joe Biden, the genocide Joe, the most evil president in the United States history, who committed this genocide with pleasure, Joe Biden. His days are numbered. Of course, he's going to be gone in the next few hours from his office, and we do not ever want to see him again. And the Democrats should take a lesson from this, that they are never going to win a vote of a Muslim as long as they do not apologize in public and do an investigation into the Biden administration, why these people working under him were complicit to this genocide, including Anthony Blinken, Matthew Miller, the Patel guy, all of them. Until that happens, and until the Democrats, they distance themselves from the Zionists, from Israel publicly, no Muslim should vote for them. Period.
Israel's government does, of course, want all stages to come into effect. But Israel greatly appreciates this. The Prime Minister also said he greatly appreciates President Trump's decision to lift the remaining restrictions on providing vital weapons and munitions to the State of Israel. There should be no doubt, however, if there is indeed a need, Israel will return to fighting with great force. We will not give up until all the goals of this war are met. The return of all of our hostages, the removing of the Hamas terrorist regime in Gaza, and eliminating the threat to our citizens. So in conclusion, before coming to your questions, let me paint a picture of the mood here in Israel. We are a nation collectively holding its breath. At the thought of 3 of our precious daughters of Israel coming home, we are a nation consumed by the plight of our hostages. We find ourselves all at once elated, while at the same time dreading outcomes. Why? Because we've heard from the mouths of those who have already returned accounts of rape, of torture, of dungeons. For Israelis, this is an emotional roller coaster. It is simultaneously relief. It is joy.
I have refuted that claim in my last video, where I showed you guys that none of the hostages were raped, tortured, or abused. None of them. Not a single one of them. And yet these liars, Zionist liars, they're peddling this lie over and over again, hoping and believing, and it works, unfortunately, that since they're repeating these lies again and again, playing this tape again and again, somehow, eventually, some people at least will believe their stories. And they do, unfortunately. But again, what is true is true, what is lie. And the truth is that the Zionist monsters, they have abused, raped, and tortured the Palestinian prisoners in Israel. Every accusation is a confession. Every single one of them. What you are looking at is a monster with a bunch of lies Porky's spitting out non-stop at us.
It is dread, it is apprehension, it is trepidation, and the knowledge that after 471 days, how can they be? Held by monsters. This is the collective emotion here in Israel today. We fear for those who will not come home alive, that some are wounded, and of course the families that did not live to see their loved ones come home. It is a moment
This is not an emotional moment. They do not have any emotion.
of tears. It's a moment of love, but most of all, it is a moment of humanity. And we are waiting.
Yeah. Define to me what humanity is. David Mencer, can you define to me what humanity means? You will not be able to do so. I can guarantee you that. These people, they lie through their teeth. They're going to lie, and they're going to commit genocide. They're going to commit murder. But we, as the citizen of this world, must not let it go. We must hold them accountable. We must arrest them. We must raise our voice against these maniacs, these monsters, or else we are just as complicit as those in Biden administration of this genocide.